man unexpectedly took off his pants in front of everyone. Even when others tried to stop him, he ignored them and plunged into the sea without hesitation. Seeing this, the officer ordered that Carl be arrested because there was an ironclad rule. White people were free to swim whenever they wanted, while black people were only allowed to swim on Tuesdays. But Carl wanted to challenge this rule. After a brief chase, Carl's swimming speed was so fast that the white men had no choice but to give up. Although Carl proved himself with his skill, he paid the price. He was put in solitary confinement, and he thought he would be expelled. However, he was not only released without charge, but was also promoted from a ship's cook to a private. It turned out that a senior officer had witnessed Carl's swimming and, impressed by both his courage and skill, recommended him to attend the Naval Academy. After graduating, Carl would become a diver and a medic. Carl thought his fate would change from that point on, but the discrimination at the academy was even worse. The instructor, seeing that he was black, refused to let him in and drove off. But Carl wasn't the type to give up. He stood outside the gate from morning till evening. The instructor, seeing Carl's persistence, eventually told the guard to let him in. But once inside, Carl was humiliated by the other trainees, and he had no choice but to endure. One day, Tom, who had become friends with Carl, was singled out by the instructor for special training. Tom was asked to jump into the sea with a 30-pound weight and hold his breath for 4 minutes. After just 2 minutes, Tom couldn't hold on any longer, and the instructor expelled him on the spot. Carl felt guilty but powerless because he was from a rural background and his academic performance had always been poor. If he was last in class again, he would be expelled from the school. So, while the other trainees went out to enjoy their weekends, Carl spent his time in the library, seeking help from the female librarian to study. They often stayed up late into the night, studying together. Carl's hard work paid off. His grades went from failing to excellent. However, despite his success, he still didn't gain the recognition of the other trainees. One day, during class, 2 soldiers were underwater welding a ship's hull when the hull suddenly shifted, trapping one of the trainees' oxygen tubes. Carl bravely volunteered to help, but as soon as he entered the ship's compartment, the hull began to sink into the ocean trench. One of the other trainees, seeing the situation was dire, abandoned his comrades and swam toward the surface. But Carl, determined and courageous, fought to save his teammate. Just as his teammate lost consciousness from lack of oxygen, Carl managed to replace the oxygen tube and revived him. After the incident, the academy held a special award ceremony, and Carl was the clear hero. But when it came time to present the medal, the instructor handed it to the trainee who had fled the scene.